Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Conversations in Community. I've been looking forward to this particular conversation for a while. It is with Kerry Davis, and we're talking about people of color and representation in the workplace, specifically leadership roles. And the reason why I wanted to bring in Kerry is that she is the Senior Director at the YMCA of the North. She's got 30 plus years of community involvement, engagement, human resources expert, coach, and apparently I'm learning really good head football coach.
Defensive coordinator.
Okay, well, I mean, we all know defense wins championships,
well,
right?
Exactly, yes.
Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Well, let's start with the first setup question, which is, what are you seeing or not seeing when it comes to representation of people in color in the workplace and in leadership roles as well?
I've been working in the nonprofit industry for a while now, and having spent some time on the other side of that in good old corporate America. One of the things that has always been lacking is there are not a lot of people that look like me in leadership positions. And I think there are a lot of variables that add to that. One is experience, one is opportunity, and the third, I think, is just giving people a chance to excel in positions that they've never done before. Organizations not willing to take a chance and developing and training these folks for fear of them failing or not being able to do the job. And I think particularly now in this day and time that we need to be risk takers. I've always said when I'm speaking that if I actually had experience for every job I did, I'd be, the NFL commissioner like I really wanted to be. But I don't. But I'm very good at selling myself. And I think training around interviewing and about selling yourself, but also interviewing the organization or company that you're going after. So it's not so one-sided in an interview process. And I think for people of color, because when they're being interviewed, too many times the person asking the questions don't look like them. And so there's a trust issue there, there's a anxiety issue there that prevents them from being, in many cases, their authentic selves. And being able to pull from the community that reflects who you are takes work, and you have to be deliberate about it. Being at an organization like the YMCA of the North, when you look at our team members and those of us in leadership, it's sad to say that people that look like me, you can count on one hand. And particularly senior level management, that means, CEO, COO, they don't look like me either. And we've talked about that, and we've talked about how you have to create avenues for people to feel equipped to even apply for these positions, but provide them the support that they need to be successful.
And you kind of touched on this as far as, someone who goes in and interviews, but doesn't see anyone who looks like him or her and the trust. Talk about the impacts of not having more people of color in roles in not only just a business world of the outfacer of the people that you're serving, but also the people within the company who are doing the work.
It comes down to building relationships and communication. And when there's such a huge disparity of BIPOC people in leadership positions, there tends to be this invisible barrier that team members who are looking to advance in their careers put up there because they don't see people that look like them. So I feel personally it's the responsibility of leadership to reach back and to mentor and to have one-on-one conversations or group conversations or coaching or mentoring that goes on that gives anybody who is looking to be a leader in the organization the tools they need to not only have enough um, tools at their hands to apply for these positions, but be able to talk about why they would be excellent in that spot. When I worked at United Way, and I was director of diversity there, one of the things that was disappointing to me was that when the position was first created, I reported to the COO. Well, once we had a leadership change, they were restructuring where diversity was going to be. And I said very plainly, do not put it in HR. You put it in HR, that's where diversity goes to die. Mm-hmm. Because when you're in human resources, you get inundated with things that take you away from what I feel is the specific core of your work. And that is engaging others to be inclusive of the entire workplace and help them see where opportunities are. But when they bury diversity in HR, you got a lot of paperwork that you're doing, and then you lose that engagement piece that I think it's necessary. Plus, you lose the support of senior leaders to make sure that diversity is not just a core value, but something that they outwardly support and work hand in hand with. I think anyone working in a diversity area should be working hand in hand with the CEO so that when team members see postings that are there, they have a direct contact to someone that they can sit down and talk to that can help shepherd them along the way.
That's interesting because I think that, me personally, shows my blind spots, because you think, well, human resources, okay, that makes sense why they would do that. But what I'm hearing from you is these are two different things. I mean, yeah. and they're two big things that if you try to do them together, you're just going to muddy the waters.
Yeah, you get lost in that. And when you think about D&I, diversity and inclusion, within an organization, not only should it be a core value, but it should be something that engages the entire organization. It becomes a culture shift. And if you put it in HR, it gets mired in this mud of, okay, how does this job description look? Well, job descriptions are job descriptions. You are hiring the individual who you feel is a good fit for this role. And there are things that they bring to the table that may not be in the job description, but you find are value adds to the role that you're looking for them to do. So for me, job descriptions are a template. You've got to get to know the person, what moves them, what their experiences are, and how all of that plays into this new role or promotion of a role for them can be synergized with their experience that they're bringing to the table.
And what I'm hearing you saying, this isn't something that you check off a box.
No.
This has to be a top-down cultural shift for it to be successful.
Absolutely. And many times when diversity and inclusion is in the castle of HR, you are relegated to do training. Well, they take a training on implicit bias and they're like, yep, I'm good. I am now aware of diversity and that's it. And the diversity and inclusion individual not only has to bring HR along, they have to bring senior leadership along. They have to change the culture, so they need to be visible and they need to hold people accountable. And without that accountability, it is just checking boxes. And, organizations say, wow, we got a diversity leader. Yeah, where are they? Who are they engaging with? Are they out in the community? Are they connecting with people in the community? Are they sharing about the mission and vision of the organization with people who might see themselves in that organization, but only read what's on the job listings or the job board? And, they go in with, what can I say? What can I say? Is this going to hurt me or not?
Mm-hmm.
I make it a point when I'm either interviewing someone or when I interview that I talk about strengths and weaknesses. We're not all perfect in this. And I think when you put an HR label over diversity and inclusion, you really are checking off a list, and you are losing the opportunity to get to know the individual, because their life experiences do have value to the roles that they play in any organization.
What's it like for you at an organization where you look around and you see yourself as being the only person who looks like you, or maybe one other person? I mean, what's that like for you?
Well, I'm from Jersey, so this whole state has been a different experience for me. Um, I think I'm one of the lucky ones, because having that experience of being an East Coast person, I'm not exactly shy when I go into a workplace or I go into the meeting rooms. I had an experience when I first moved here where I had to speak up in a community that was way north of us. I won't say their name,
Mm-hmm.
but I walked in with my sponsor who brought me here to Minnesota, and they had spoken to me prior to going up there. And Kerry Davis is kind of a common name here in Minnesota,
Mm-hmm.
so they were under the impression that I was white. And so when I walked in, there was a silence in the room. Now, I could have taken that two ways, but because I tend to be, I'm not going to say really snarky, but snarky, I used that to my advantage in my speech, because I got up to the podium and people started to leave. So I just made a comment that, well, if you're going, don't touch my car, because I see you and I'll come and find you. And my sponsors are like, oh God, there she goes. And I'm like, I'm just kidding.
There's the Jersey.
You go, but you don't know who I know. I'm just saying. Um, so I don't see it as an intimidation factor, and I think that works well to my advantage. But not everyone comes from that same space.
Yeah.
I have walked into many meeting rooms where I'm the only one, and frankly, that doesn't bother me. What does concern me, however, is that when I am the only one, my white colleagues in the room want to paint every Black person like me. And so they meet me and they're like, well, everybody that's Black got to be like her. And I'm like, oh, child, nope, nope. I'm a different and unique person.
Mm.
And yeah, you're not going to find that with everyone. And so getting to know me on a personal level, which is why I share a lot about my experience, I'm trying to push the envelope and frankly make them a little uncomfortable, because while I feel fine when I walk into a room of people that don't look like me, that does not stop me from being myself. But it does stop people who are trying to present an image that they feel is acceptable to the majority.
Next time on Conversations in Community.
What about the hiring folks? What should they be thinking about when it comes to this issue?
This is why diversity can't be hidden in HR.